Hi, my name is Nils Naujoks and I'm a professional sim racer for G2 Esports. Overall, there's huge debate in sim racing whether or not hardware can make you faster. I don't think in particular if you have the talent, the hardware will make you shine or put you at the back of the field. In the past 2 decades, sim racing equipment has made a major leap. Of course, we were taking deeper takes onto pedals, racing wheels, PCs, and of course monitors as well. In particular, the monitor in sim racing is like one of the few connections you have to the car. Everything is perceived visually in the first place, and therefore it's really important to have high frame rates, low response rates of the monitor, because this gives you a competitive advantage in the end and makes it easier for you to perceive what the car is doing.
The inside of Coates.
Marshall gets too heavily involved.
And that's Whitehead and Coates.
Good morning, everybody. A very warm welcome to the Mini Challenge official eSeries, the virtual reality racing club series. This is the halfway point of the season. Myself, Richard John Neal, and James Jiggy Gornall with you this morning. Jiggy, thanks for coming along, mate. Great to have you in the virtual commentary box with us. How are you?
Thanks, Richard. I'm very good, thank you very much. Sat here with a cup of tea, which is a bit different to when you're at a racetrack, isn't it?
It is. I've got to say, many years ago when I first started, we were at Mondello Park, and I had a really bad cold, lost my voice, tried to get Terry Grant, if you remember Terry Grant, to come to the box, and he said, can I come up? I said, yeah, can you help me out because I'm losing voice? And he said, yeah, and he didn't help at all. But what did help was the commentator at Mondello brought me a pint of Guinness up. You can't do it now because drinking and work wouldn't go, but hey, that was a good day. Here's the timetable of what we're doing today. Snetterton 300 circuit, the longest configuration of the Norfolk event. We've had 60 minutes of practice. Max Edmondson quickest. We've got qualifying starting at 10, which will be 15 minutes. Race 1 is 20 minutes as ever, as is race 2, with the top 12 reversed. Top 12 finishing positions reversed. The track length, as you can see, just under 3 miles, hence it's called the 300 circuit. There's the old-ish equivalent circuit, which is 2 miles, the 200 circuit, and a school circuit of 1 mile, which they use as well. Clerk of the course, as ever, is Andy Ringland. Race director Rich Hayden. We'll be having a chat with Rich at the end of the day, and our broadcast director doing a fantastic job. You would not believe what he does to put this together. Mike Yao is with us again as well. Clerk of the course, Andy Ringland and Rich Hayden have had a very, very busy week. And one of the things I wanted to impart is the amount of work that they have done in terms of looking at judicials from the last couple of weeks. They have done a heck of a lot of work, just like in the real world, and there have been a number of points penalties that have been issued. I'm not going to go through those because I don't want to start saying, oh, this driver's got the most penalty points and they've done this or done that. But what I can tell you is that all of the incidents are treated exactly like the real world. So if you are watching it and you see a little shunt, and it happens, you can maybe dish out, or not dish out, but you can cause an accidental tap. But that still has to be looked at, because if you tap into somebody and they go off and lose a place and lose points, then that has to get dealt with by the clerk, and it is by Andy and Rich. So that is very well looked at. We've got the schedule here, as you can see. This is the 4th of 8 events. Ronan Pearson will be a commentator with me next week at Knockhill. A bit of a Scottish flavour to look forward to. And don't forget, you can get involved by using the hashtag Mini Challenge eSeries, and we're getting a number of messages through already, which is really good to see. So Danielle Gordon says, have a good one, Max. There's lots of Maxes, so you might want to clarify whether that's Max Coates or Max Edmondson, who was quickest in the practice session. We've got a good morning from Fernando Duran. Good morning from Spain. Good morning to you, mate. Thanks for joining us, and well done. I think you've already answered Lee Fraser, who says, how are you? I'm trying to scroll up and see if I've missed any other ones. There were a couple more. There was one saying Tugger Reid was going to win today. I'm assuming, talking about Simon Reid, we'd like to give some of the drivers nicknames. Simon looking to improve on his best 20th place, round 2 at Brands Hatch. James, though, your thoughts on the Snetterton circuit?
Snetterton is actually one of my favourite tracks in the country. I'm old enough to remember the older version of Snetterton, maybe not the original. But I didn't quite like that one. But this one, with so much going on, is actually great fun. And I tell my drivers this when I'm coaching, actually, that it's a great test track because you have so many different types of corners. You have to be really on top of your car to be fast at Snetterton, on the 300 circuit in particular. But precision is key as well. Even though it's what is it, the second longest circuit in the country behind Silverstone Grand Prix, precision is so important because you can lose a lot of time, but equally you can just we get a perfect lap together and be miles ahead. Self plug here. In mini challenge, I put it on pole by 0.6 of a second.
Wow.
Yeah, everyone thought I was cheating, which we weren't, obviously. But the fact that I was so far ahead, just getting everything absolutely perfect, floating that car around the bends, and I love it. I'd go there tomorrow. In fact, I'm going there next week, so looking forward to it.
Bit of coaching?
Yes, bit of coaching in that's in a Janetta Junior.
Excellent. Here's some drivers that don't need coaching in the top slots of the championship table coming into Snetterton. Mike Epps is the championship leader by 2 points from Dave Marshall. Jack McIntyre is leading the sim category. Dave Marshall's leading the sim category. Second, Jack McIntyre second. Max Edmondson, real world driver, is third. Jordan Brennan climbing up the table. Jordan, like Jack McIntyre, climbing up a position from the previous week. He's sounding like Tony Blackburn on top of the pops now. Is he moving up one position? But we'll try and step away from that particular anecdote. Max Coates 6, and Danielle was supporting Max Coates, by the way. Danielle is Max's Scottish fan from social media, so thank you for that. Dan Zelos 7th from Robbie Staple. Third, Rob Butler, who's in the thick of things last week. He's top 10 completed by Matt Richards. Then flying Ryan Elliott. Josh Hislop 12th from Josh Martin and Andy Dorman. Damien Hall had a sensational week last week. That's Tony Blackburn, isn't it? Sensational. 15th for the Bajan police officer, the Apex Fever car. Grabbed his first 10 points of the campaign. Jack Noller, 16th from Max Bird. Max says hi to us on social media. Max Bird, get your bum back in seat, mate. It'd be great to see you racing. Jack Davidson, 18th. Then Isaac Smith and Luke Kidsley completing the point scorers thus far. The drivers looking to get their maiden points for this season. Liam Lambert, Tom O'Farrell, Kenny Press, Simon Reed and Josh Stanton. I'm sure with the progress that they're making, they will make that leap up into the points this weekend. David Whitehouse has got a question for you, Jiggy. Will you be racing in 2021?
That's a very good question. It's tough times, isn't it, at the moment? And we are pushing hard. It's an uphill battle, I must say. I'm looking to be back in the British Touring Car Championship. I enjoyed my time there last year. Nothing is sorted yet. As ever, it's always down to funding.
It is, isn't it? It very much is. Let's now take a look at our hot lap for this week, which comes appropriately from the championship leader, Mike Epps. He's our guy.
Hello guys, it's Mike Epps here. I'm going to talk you through a lap of the Snetterton 300 circuit in the Mini Challenge UK eSeries. Slightly different camera style for this video. I've actually stuck a GoPro at eye level to give you an idea of what it looks like when I'm driving my sim at home. I've even worn gloves for you to make it look extra racy. So we head up to the first corner. I think we hit 135 nearly mile an hour before we break into here, so it's a pretty quick approach. Down one gear, aim for the first curb, all the way out to the exit curb, maximum speed carried through. Brake at the 2 board for this first hairpin. It's a big stopping zone, this one. You want to head straight to the curb on the inside, nice short line, and get the power down real quick to the exit. Turn 3's a little bit harder. The rear right tyre doesn't do a lot of work around here, so it tends to be a little bit below ideal temperature, so the car can feel a bit loose on the way into there. We come up to the second hairpin, very similar to the first, apart from the track just runs away a little bit on the entry, so you really just diagonally brake right to the inside. Nice short line again, and solid power to exit. A little bit of brake for Hamilton, just a touch, over the curb, all the way out to the right, and then straight back over to the left. Down a gear into Oggies. Third gear, it's quite low revs, so you want to keep your minimum speed up. The track opens up to the exit, so you can get power down pretty quick here. It's up to 4th, a little lift, and roll the car into Williams. Really need to focus on exit here so you can get a good run down the back straight. If you lose any time on the exit there, you can be sure you're going to lose another 1/10 or 2 down this main straight. And in the racing, the track's pretty wide as well, so it's pretty hard to defend into here. Under the bridge, the track narrows on the entry. It's all about getting the car squared up for the right and staying to the left so you can get a nice tidy exit. We go into the bomb hole, into 4th. I think I lifted a little bit here, but probably qualifying, I reckon either me or someone else would probably figure out how to take that flat. So Coram is very much about just balancing the car on the throttle. You can see me coming on and off and then just gently on the brake into the last corner, get the car squared up for a nice tidy exit, and yeah, down the main straight. That was a relatively average lap of Snetterton 300. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy the racing today.
So there was that hot lap from the championship leader, Mike Epps, and Mike doing a good job. We've got qualifying underway now. As you can see, a few more shout-outs coming through on social media for us. Very, very pleased to hear from James Wilson. Great to hear you, James. We'll hear from you. Thank you very much. Hope you're keeping well. James, a guy who is an absolute legend at what he does, looking after us racing weekends for ITV, and the best in the business, without a doubt. Great to have you along. Thanks for watching. And Jeff Edmondson is obviously cheering on Max Edmondson. Some more shouts coming through. Damien Hall was doing a little note there. Sarah Bird says good luck to Damien Hall today. And don't forget, you can drop us a note, hashtag mini challenge eSeries if you've got any questions for Jiggy, or want to know generally about the competition or anything that's going on that you might want to ask. If we can't get you the answers, we'll get them for you next week. Tune in again next week. As you can see, we've got the inset there with Jack Mack. So Jack McIntyre running third in the championship, second in the sim category, only 15 points behind Dave Marshall at the moment. Now, was it Snetterton last year that Dave Marshall, we ran 4 races last year, and I think Dave Marshall won 3 of them, so we're expecting him to deliver big things. Like I was just telling me, it was indeed here, and it set up Dave Marshall's run to the title last year, James, to be perfectly honest. And Jiggy, while we were looking at the points table, I think you had a comment about how close it was, and a comment about the penalties.
Absolutely, yeah, we saw in the middle of the points table there quite a few penalties, and it's quite similar to real life, particularly in a one-make championship like the Mini Challenge. The front tend to get away, you have 5 or 6 drivers, and sometimes there's some incidents, normally not intentional, but the middle is where you get the argy-bargy. People see red mist because they're seeing the same drivers over and over again, and they get frustrated. So it was quite interesting that, mirroring real life, all the penalties, well, they're in that middle zone there. Not unusual in racing, but certainly not the mini challenge.
What does it mean to you as a driver? We've got the scary tree in the background. I always love that, which I think we've got blown down, didn't we, one stuff.
Yeah.
I was going to, in terms of mini challenge, obviously we have this partially reversed grid. Now, with you being the kind of driver that bangs in the pole positions and the wins in race 1, when you get the partially reversed grid, that pulls you into that pack where there could be some mayhem. So, is that something that you've encountered?
Yeah, it's a balance actually, because you need to move forwards to win the championship. If that's what you're trying to do, you have to get forwards. You cannot be finishing 10th, 9th, 8th really, because that's just not going to cut it. So the top guys are getting into the top 5 in these reverse grids. Now the first lap can be carnage, and it's just more around you, and it's not that people are trying to be dangerous either. They're just making moves. Maybe they don't see someone on their inside, outside. You can have 4 cars wide, so you do have to be careful, and yet aggressive, but not too aggressive. It is a real fine balancing act. But of course, if you're at the front, what does tend to help is people know you fast, you see. So with the reverse grid, if you're 12th, having just won the race, people will see you, not necessarily make it too difficult for you to get past, in the hope that they can follow you forwards. So other people around you thinking does help. On the other hand, you get people who see a big target on your car and they are desperate to keep you behind. And it's that situation where you end up getting a big gap in front of you, and that can really mess a race up. So it's not a bad thing to have good relationships with all the drivers around you, so that they understand that what your goals are, and they understand that they can align with your goals, I think.
Yeah, that sounds really, really good and appropriate. This is the track where you sewed up your championship, wasn't it, at Snetterton? Because we were live streaming it. It wasn't part of the touring car program at that point, but we did live stream. And what a weekend we had! The points were so difficult to work out, because I think back in it was 2019 we were 6 points for fastest lap, 5 for second fastest lap, and so on. So TSL couldn't sort that out for us, so we were having to do mental arithmetic in the box as we went along.
That's right. I'd done all the maths actually before. So when I got into the position, I think it was got to second place, I knew that I needed to get I think it was first or second fastest lap, so I had to pump it in to guarantee the championship. So I was doing the maths the whole way through, and although I knew I'd done enough, I didn't know after crossing the line if anyone behind me went faster. If 2 or 3 people had gone faster behind me on the final lap, I could have lost the championship. It was quite close in the end. So, racing is a lot about thinking. You know, you got to do this. You got to make sure you take the risks where necessary. But if it's not necessary, sometimes you just have to hold back, because quite frankly, you never know what's going to happen.
And without wanting to flatter you too much, you're very much a complete package driver, because you've won in sports cars, you've won in saloons, and that's the mark of a great driver. We were talking about like Epps is quick in whatever he drives in, and he's versatile like yourself. How important is it, do you think, to be able to move around between disciplines, say single seaters, sports cars, tin tops, and is it difficult to do that?
Some people do find it difficult. I didn't. I think that a versatile driver is a fast driver in whatever they get into. So of course I've learned skills on how to adapt, and what I understand, as Mike does, what makes you fast in these different disciplines. Now, if you can do that, like me and Mike, you can coach people to try and go faster as well. If you don't understand what it is that's making you fast, you're not going to go fast, and that's going to make it even more difficult to transfer to another type of car. And it works also in different vehicles. So the mini challenge was great for me to learn how to drive front wheel drive, because I'd not done it before that championship. Not in a race car, certainly not on slicks. So once I'd done that, I moved into the touring cars, and actually I felt really comfortable, because the Mini was a great training tool, if you like. But the touring car is so much more complicated. So again, although front-wheel drive, I ticked that box, I then had to understand the far more complicated setup parameters on the touring cars, the rear steer that you can put into it. So again, if you're not adaptable, it'll take you a long time to get up to speed. And so working hard on and off the track is very, very important if you want to win anything, frankly.
Yeah, great feedback. And just looking at the times we've got at the moment, Jordan Brennan goes up to P2. Mike Epps still on provisional pole. Jordan was the main focus of nicknames last week when we had Anthony Williams with us in the commentary box, and we re-established that his old nickname was the Bear, and someone said Jordan the Juggernaut, and we've just had a mix-up of the two from Kay Baker, who says Juggy Bear, which is good because that combines the two. So fair enough, little nod to Starsky and Hutch, I think, isn't it? Going back a little bit. I don't know if Kay's old enough to remember that. Jiggy's probably not old enough to remember Starsky and Hutch, I shouldn't think. So I'm
not properly. Only the 4-3 runs actually rested on the brain.
I'm going to dig myself out the 8.
I do like a good nickname, though. Obviously, with most people calling me by mine.
Yeah, it could be a bit of a brand, can't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And these days you need to find ways to stand out, because the bit on the track's the easy bit. It's off track. It's finding your partners, finding your funding that's difficult. So you need to show people why you're different.
Yeah. Following Dan Zelos at the moment, he's in 12th place. I think gets dropped down to 13th because Max Evans climbs up. Max Coates having a look as well. Dave Marshall in the 66. Dave the Machine Marshall goes up into 2nd position. We're looking forward to. We know we're going to see Dave Marshall in one of the Cooper rounds this coming season on a British Touring Car Championship weekend. The sim winner this year gets a non-BTCC round, and I think as much as anything else that will be because it will be difficult to have 2 BTCC weekends if Dave's on one and someone picks the same one. Difficult for many to soar. So we've got a non-BTCC weekend, but the 2nd and 3rd places will get the chance to come along to a weekend. And we're going to do a meet and greet, say hello and explain what goes on in TV land as well. Just really looking forward to seeing whoever can get there. And of course, anyone that comes along to the track, normally we're wandering around. We weren't last year, but normally we're wandering around the paddock, which is normally an open experience where you can talk to the drivers, talk to anybody involved in the formula, who are quite happy to say hello, sign autographs and ask questions and the like. That hopefully will. It's looking a little bit more hopeful. I'm not going to say definite that we're going to have an open paddock and go around. I mean, we had broadcast bubble last year. We weren't able to go into the paddock. I think I only did 1 day in the paddock last year. Got permission to do that. Again, going back to ITV really looked after us. The facilities people, Cloudbase, and everybody at ITV were. Some people said it was too strict, but do you know what? I don't think there was a COVID case in the whole camp. If there had been, it would have caused so many problems. But they were really good and looked after us. So much thought and care went into looking after us and bringing the racing to your screens last year. And that goes for all the other sports that ITV and like Cloudbase cover. So Epps now still quickest with Dave Marshall second, so pretty much as you were from the last round. And Jordan Brennan next up. The Big Easy Epps. Lee Fraser said, surely it has to be like the Big Easy Epps. And Trevor Nelson sounded like people have said in the past. I need to do a vocal comparison actually between the two, but Mike's a great lad. Could be on for another poll interview here. Epps has been very quick in all of the sessions that we've had. He's had 2 poles and a third in qualifying thus far, but only 1 win. He's been consistent on the podium. The top winning driver so far is the Machine Marshall with 3 wins, but got knocked down a little bit down the order with 12th position in our second race on the Auckland Park configuration last weekend. There is Simon Reed. Great to know Simon's got some followers out there on social media.
Great nickname as well today.
Tugger.
It would seem. Yeah, Tugger. It's great.
Yeah, Zach Hollis says, yes, Tugger.
The times they've been starting to come down. They're not quite as quick as some of the times we saw in testing, where I think someone did a 2-minute dead, which is quick, very quick. But Dave Marshall there, just less than a tenth behind Mike. That is so close. We are talking centimetres across an entire lap, and that's a 2-minute lap. It's a long way to go to be that close.
He's really close, isn't it? And those 2 guys, of course, remember, are, as Jiggy is coaches, Mike and Dave will coach you on your sim. Jiggy, I think you had a sim last year. You were saying that's gone back though, because you've got plenty of other things to be working on at the moment. But you're very much a coach available to help people in the real world.
That's right. Yeah, I did quite a bit of preparation actually on the sim. These sims are great for getting you ready for the real tracks too. So ahead of any test day, I would jump on. We'd do a couple of hours just to get in the zone, because that's what they are. Brilliant tools. They're great fun. But if you use them properly, then they can really help your real-world driving, which is why we see people move into real-world and doing well. Look at Jan Mardenborough. He is so talented. He was a great example of someone that went from the console over to the real world.
Just looking at Liam Lambert in the number 5 car, one of the Mini Cooper drivers, trying to get up into the points, 22nd at the moment. I had a shout out actually on social media yesterday, Jiggy, for you, from a guy that I know from Legends Cars Racing, Si Haraway, said raced with you a long time ago in karts.
Yes, right, yeah.
Si Haraway's a top lad, very quick in Legends Cars. Didn't quite get the rub of the green. He was top 3 in the championship, didn't quite get the rub of the green to take the overall title. I think he's moved on and looking at business commitments and stuff like that at the minute. I'm not working on Legends at the minute, but super paddock and really very good people, as indeed most of the paddocks that we get involved with are. And there's Josh Martin, the only driver we've actually seen with the inset using the goggles, virtual reality goggles. So not quite sure. Last year I had the stats on how many drivers were using all the different equipment, but I'm guessing that's an Oculus setup that he's got, Josh Martin. Currently in 15th. It is Oculus, yeah, thanks for that, Mike. So 15th place, that's a point scoring place potentially for Josh Martin. When you look at the quality of the field though, Jiggy, we've got a minute to go on qualifying. Jordan Brennan now top, 2 minutes dead, 0.194. Mike Epps second, Dave Marshall third. So Juggy Bear.
Not a lot of time to get another lap in now with a 2-minute lap and only a minute left. So he may well stay up there unless someone pops it in. But it is so close. We can see the top 10 there separated by less than a second. Now normally around this track, it doesn't really matter unless you're in a really low powered car where they are a bit closer. You don't tend to get 10 people who are all within a second around the 300 circuit. So it just shows you how close it is. And these guys, they do so many laps. Sim racing is hard. It's a different discipline to the real world stuff, but you have to do so many laps. It's such a commitment to become fast. And Mike Epps was a great example of someone that's quick, but he did quite a bit of sim racing, and now look at him, he's upped it even further. And in fact, he's a paid professional, I think, when it comes to this sometimes.
Yeah, I think you're right. Super performance from Mike, second position. But Jordan Brennan really upping his game from previous rounds this season. 6th, 5th and 7th in qualifying, his record thus far. provisionally on for pole. We've got Tanya Buckley saying good luck, Max Coach, stay safe. And Chris Dace, thanks for telling us that Tugger Reid is on VR as well, so he's using that bit of kit. That's great to know, thank you for that. Alfie Glennie got some support out there from Dan Gower. Tugger's the driver of the day at the moment for the support. Well done to all of his fans, but it's JB at the moment. That's Jordan Brenner, not Jensen Button, for any of you who might know otherwise. So Juggy Bear on pole, provisionally Mike Epps P2, Dave Marshall third, and there is Epps going through the Big Easy, they call him, and second position of Dave Marshall. Isaac Smith, good to see Isaac up there, the 1, 2, 3 car. It's got to be his best. Isaac's been consistent in qualifying, 7th, 8th and 9th, and now potential 4, so we're starting to see drivers make some progress. Obviously that's going to be at the expense of other guys who will drop back down the order. Nice inset of Mike crossing the line, so the time is up. Looks effortless, doesn't it, Jiggy?
It does, but then that's what it needs to be. Sim racing, real life, it needs to look a bit easier. If you're thrashing around at the wheel, you're not going to be fast. So a cool, calm person is often a fast one. It means everything's under control.
Looks like we're going to be having somebody new for our interview as we watch the number 12 machine still pedaling its way round the 10/10ths. But now, sector 1, he goes purple. So has Mike Epps saved the best till last? I know from doing touring cars last year, the commentary on touring cars, where we had the split sessions in qualifying, just how key these laps are. It was a little bit over on sector 2, coming down towards the timing line now, and Epps goes on pole. That was superb, and what we love to see in real life as well. Not great for JB, but Dave Marshall's still got to complete a lap as well. The black and red car about to go across line 66 now. He's in third. He was quicker in sector 1 as well. Marshall crosses the timing beam and stays third. I'd actually already written down some of the top drivers, so I'm going to have to change those round. So it's Epps from Brennan, Marshall, Isaac Smith fourth. Max Edmondson is next up in 5th position, but pole position going to Mike Epps. He's getting used to grabbing these, and we will have a word with him in just a moment, as soon as we know he's there. Mike Epps, congratulations, pole position again, well done.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Don't know where I pulled that from, but I did last moment, so that's always handy.
You've caused me some work because I'd actually written down Jordan Brennan on pole, so I've now got to update my sheet because that was last knockings, and our director Mike said to me, Epps has just gone purple in sector 1, which you did. That was very much like a real field qualifying set to me, banging it in, and you were working hard, banging those laps right the way to the flag. Can you hear me, Mike? I think we've lost you.
Oh wait, does it work now?
Hello, Mike. Yeah, we're just saying that you had to keep the work up right the way through that session.
Oh, do you know what? Windows operating system is one of the worst. I tried to turn down my microphone in Discord, but or something else was coming through my headset. But never mind. Right. Yeah, that went quite swimmingly. And yeah, sorry for the extra work I caused you. But hey ho, that's the classic racing driver approach. Get it in on the last lap, right? So now I've got to back the field up, work with Dave, and see if we can score points as a team today.
Any prediction? Are you going to be able to stay ahead of him in this way? He's got 3 wins so far. You've got the 1, but you've been, I think, the more consistent point scorer, evidenced by being top of the table. What are your thoughts on grabbing another win around here?
Well, unlike my normal performance in real life, I seem to be a slightly better qualifier than in the races. So, you know, normally it's the other way around in real life because I look after tyres better, but I seem to work quite well here. So I think I've just got to be mindful, be measured, not make any mistakes early on, and just see how we go. But the main thing is I've got to score points, and so has Dave. So that's really the protocol. So Jordan Brennan is in a 10/10 sandwich right now, so he better watch out.
Yeah, I think you guys have got to watch out for JB. Well done, Mike. Congratulations on pole. Good luck for the race, and I expect we'll speak to you on the podium a little bit later on.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
So let me run through the positions. It is Mike Epps on pole position, Jordan Brennan is outside, and then Dave Marshall lining up in third. The second row completed by Isaac Smith. It's a great performance by Isaac Smith to get up into fourth place. Max Edmondson fifth. He was quickest, remember, in the free practice session earlier this morning. And row 3 completed by Jack McIntyre. Fourth row, Robbie Stapleford and Dan Zelos. And then the fifth row, Matt Richards and Max Coates. And Max Coates. And then it's Rob Butler, 11th, Luke Kidsley into 12th position in qualifying again, as he was last time out. Interesting qualifying session, Jiggy. And I'm going to ask you, as I do always, the co-commentators, who's your money on for the first race?
Well, I think Mike had it. He had it sewn up there, actually. He just really nailed it. The toe's going to be quite important, which is going to throw a wild card into there, because if you can just follow all the way through, you might be able to make a lunge in a timely moment. We'll see. But I think it's going to be between Mike and Dave. I'm going to go with Mike.
Okay, fair enough. We'll see how that pans out. Simon Elliott tells us that Ryan Elliott's other nickname is Rydog, as opposed to Billy Elliott, which we had last time. And Mike Epps did find out what the derivation of the track day Billy nickname for us as well, which if we get a chance, and I remember, we'll talk about a little bit later on. Which is, funny enough, a conversation we'd had at the tracks, nobody being able to shed any light on, but we'll come back to that. Peter Van Gool says, go on Jack McIntyre. And Tony told me go on Jordan Brennan, so I think we're cracking through all these. So Ryan Elliott, also known as Rydog, I'm sure we prefer that to Billy in terms of the racing as we look at the grid. So remember, Mike Epps on pole position and Jordan Brennan to his outside, and then on row 2 Dave Marshall and Isaac Smith. Isaac still the youngest driver to have won a senior competition in British motorsport. 5 lights on. Out go the lights, and we are away, and it's Jordan Brennan looking to make the most of that inside line as they go down into turn 1 for the first time, and it's Brennan that leads them. Great start by Brennan. Dave Marshall in the mix as well. As ever, a little bit of a kerfuffle as they go through Riches for the first time, down towards the Montreal hairpin, as 'twas known, now known of course as Wilson, but Brennan made a decent start, relatively clean there, Jiggy.
It was. He just managed to get his nose ahead. I saw Dave Marshall there have a big slide through turn 1, which for Mike and Jordan was nice, because it gave them that little bit of breathing space to take a line that's not quite as slow as you might normally have to do. When that pack's right behind you, you do have to cover quite a lot, certainly into the first hairpin, to avoid getting smashed up. But equally, you've got to be careful not to let them all come streaming around the outside.
Quite a few overtaking positions, aren't there, on this track as well, which is the big bonus for me as a spectator stroke commentator.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's anywhere that I'd rule out actually as a passing place. You can set something up 2, 3, 4 corners before, and even coming into this corner here onto the back straight, that if you get it just right, really good exit from Oggies, you can get your nose at the inside, although that can then hamper you down the straight. You see cars weaving around trying to keep guys behind them.
So Brennan leads them down the Bentley straight and coming into the Brundle-Nelson complex, and Mike Epps looking poised here, thinks about having a look down the inside line, a bit too far back maybe. They're going to come out of Nelson, head down in towards the bomb hole, 2 or 3 wide there. We've got a car across the grass losing out just a little bit. I think that might be Rob Butler who drops down on the timing. Oh, it was Max Coates in fact that drops down to 9th place. Rob Butler goes back in front of him. So it's Brennan from Epps, a little bit of a gap to Dave Marshall. We're starting to see Dave Marshall, whereas last year he would sort of run away with things, this year seems to find the grooves, the race goes on, and will work his way back into the mix. Max Edmondson 4th, Isaac Smith 5th from Dan Zelos. So Zelos has had a good run up from 8, a couple of positions made on the first lap. So it's Brennan out front from Epps at the minute, a little side by side going on a little bit further back. Some more social media coming through. Josh Malin, hi Josh, good to have the Ginetta Challenge champion watching us today, saying go on Epps. And Dan Gower says Alfie Glennie have a go for it as well. Alfie up into 22nd place at the moment, chasing Damien Hall. Had some setup issues, did Damien, for the preparation for this one. But Brennan, Epps and Marshall, the top three at the minute. A couple of guys just running a little bit on the wide side there as we focus on Max Coates in the number 11. Robbie Stapleford is down behind him. Robbie, of course, was at the Ginetta Scholarship, which I've mentioned before. Was he one of the drivers that you took out, Jiggy?
Oh, it's all a blur, Richard. So many, so many people that had never driven a car before coming along. It's a fantastic scholarship, of course.
60-odd youngsters that were there. Yeah, it'd be difficult to remember, wouldn't it?
It was. Some people have never used the clutch before either. So yeah, it's an eventful scholarship, but really good, really good event.
It's for all abilities, isn't it? You know, you can have people just getting it as a present to come out for the day and have the experience of the sadist on the fitness, Richard Chessman, or going out with you guys and getting some real experience, you know, to drive a car like that for the first time. It's a super thing to do.
Yeah, that's right, and the abilities are taken into account as well. You don't have to be necessarily the best, fastest driver to win that, and that championship's a great one to feed into this one, actually. In fact, I'm coaching a driver, Frankie Taylor, right now in my old Mini, and he racing the Ginetta Junior, so it's a good place to learn your craft. Interestingly, Mike Epps here, he's keeping his powder dry. He's bang on with his lines. Jordan Brennan, he's a bit offline in a few places. He looks like he's pushing hard. I think Mike's keeping his powder dry here. He's just trying to get a gap away from the main field, and it's not unusual to try to do that. Not fight too much now, get away, and then you can fight for it, knowing you're not going to get demolished by the rest of the field behind.
Jordan, a champion in, I think, another. I saw, obviously there are so many sim championships, but I'm pretty sure has won sim championships before. And another driver like Si Haraway, through time in the Legends paddock, his dad, Mikey, helping out Dave Newsham, another touring car driver, moved up the ranks, of course, from Legends cars. Scottish Legends originally, National Legends, then Clio Cup champion into touring cars, and of course the Norscott car won a race here at Snetterton in BTCC, which you remember well. So Jordan, part of that setup. It'd be great to see him have the chance to come mini racing at some point. And yeah, as you say, under a bit of pressure from Mike Epps, there is Josh Martin in the number 9, Max Coates right behind him, then Matt Richards, Robbie Stapleford, Ryan Elliott 13th from Luke Kidsley. Top 12 we have to look at as we get closer towards the end of the race. Robbie Stapleford on potentially for the reverse grid pole at the moment, and he would have Matt Richards for company alongside him if things were to stay the way they are at the moment. Timing wise, I think fastest lap is going to be, I've got a 2 minutes 974.917, 2 minutes 7. Dave Marshall looks quickest at the moment on the timing screens as we ride along with Josh Martin very briefly. Leaders going through the Brundle Nelson complex, heading down towards Bomb Hole. And Brennan, actually, we know that he's fairly good at soaking up pressure. He's a good attacking, hard charging driver because his qualifying in the previous rounds has been good, but not as strong as it was today. And when he doesn't qualify as strong, he does have the ability to get in the mix, get up and fight for position.
Yeah, he seems to be right on it, actually. He is soaking up the pressure well. Mike, seasoned racer, whether it's real world, sim world, so I know that he's going to be cool and calm. I've watched him many times, raced with him many times on the sims, actually, never in real life. But Jordan's impressing me here, and some drivers just gel with a particular track. It may be that Jordan is just on it, and this one he's got it all sewn up, and that again helps your mental state. You know you've got it within your gift, if you like, to do the business, to win it, and he's quite impressive.
Max Coates lighting up the track. You can see his lighting is a little bit better than it was last week, and we were joking about sending candles off to him, but he didn't have any scent or any scented candles to explore the joke. We were going to call him Candles Coates as a nickname and say that he lights up the track, but maybe he's in 10th place at the moment, chasing down Josh Martin still. Max working hard as ever he does at whatever he's doing, whether it's the background stuff or on track, works so hard. And Matt Richards giving him a bit of a workout there in the blue car, trying to hunt him down and see if he can find a way past. You're looking at the timing screens. Have a look down the other end of things. Robbie Stapleford a little bit off colour today, down in 14th place. That's disappointing for him, but again, it's so close, this championship. So many great drivers that are all everybody, I think, in this championship capable of top 10, and so many drivers capable of getting on the podium and taking wins too.
That's right, small margins, isn't it? I think you gave Stapleford the kiss of death just after you mentioned he was doing well earlier. I think I saw him bouncing over the grass, so It's typical, really. I like this camera angle. We need this in real life in the mini challenge.
Yeah, we started to get the onboards back, didn't we, towards the end of last year in the British Touring Car Championship. Hopefully we'll have more in the other championships that grace the package. That would be good. That is a super shot with the Norscot logo. Dave Newsham's long-term sponsors. Dave Newsham, I think, with Callum Newsham, doing the VRRC Touring Car Championship. Let's give a little plug out for VRRC custom build rigs. So if you do need a setup, or you're thinking about getting a setup, as Epps is having a look for the lead, just as we try and get a plug in, Epps decides to have a look down the inside line, makes the pass and goes through into lead position, and Jordan Brennan now is coming under attack from Dave Marshall's having a look at the outside line as they come into the Wilson hairpin, and he's done that around the outside significantly. That'll tuck into the inside line as they come down into Palmer corner, the left-hander. Great move.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Epps and Marshall now are just going to start to creep away. They've decided now is the time. Mike wouldn't have done that on a whim, and you can see there are some significant gaps opening up behind now. So I think we might just see a two-horse race now.
They could well get away with this, but Jordan Brennan won't want to be left, and he'll give it his all to try and close back down. And we know that he's a very capable sim racer. Is Jordan still on for the podium? But the two teammates out front, Epps the real world racer, Dave Marshall the Simster. Oh, and a little tap on the back end there. I'm sure inadvertent, but Marshall has some bad luck again through contact, drops down. Edmondson, as a result, has nipped through into second position. Marshall down in third place, and this leaves Mike Epps clear at the end of 4 laps, very nearly at half distance in this opening race of the weekend. That was accidental, but unfortunate, and might wind up with Andy Ringland at Clark.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there was clearly, I don't think, any intent there, but there definitely was fault. So that sort of move or mistake is one that can see you getting a penalty. But Mike now, I think he's broken the toe, and this could now just be a case of keeping it tidy. But there is a long way to go. There is a very long way to go, and it only takes one mistake round here to get a bad run onto, let's say, this start-finish straight, and someone could catch you up by 3/10 in an instant.
Yeah, it could all still change, couldn't it? So Epps is out front. I was going to just give a little shout out, if this is maybe lighting a bit of passion and you want to have a go at this, then you can do a lot worse than get a VRRC custom build rig. And superb setup, which many of these drivers have done to get themselves going, but it's not just for people in competition. As Coates gets involved there, Josh Martin in 9th position moves up. We've got some support for Liam Lambert coming through on our social media feed from K20AA. So well done that. Hashtag Mini Challenge eSeries if you want to drop a note of support for your favourite driver, and let us know also who you think is going to be driving the race in this one. But it's Epps still out front at the moment. Max Coates working hard now, back ahead of Josh Martin, and you can see Matt Richards down behind as well. Ryan Elliott is on for 12th place, which is provisional pole ahead of Robin Staple, but Luke Kinsley 14th has dropped back from his starting position. Luke, a driver very capable of taking a win in the reverse grids. And our inset now is Damien Hall, our Death in Paradise man. Did anyone watch the 2-parter that was on this week? It was a pretty good couple of episodes we had with lockdown, unfortunately getting sucked into more and more TV. But if you wonder why we call him our Death in Paradise man, he's the Copper Piston, a Bajan police officer based in Barbados, obviously, and a great character, sim racer, 19th place. He'll be disappointed with that after his point scoring last weekend.
Echoing your comments, Richard, about getting involved in the sim racing, if anyone out there wants to do some real world racing, Mini Challenge is a really good place to start. There's a ladder. You can start on something like the Coopers, which are, I'm going to say, relatively cheap. Motorsport is not cheap, but it doesn't have to be massively expensive. Then you can work your way up to things like these JCWs, which are fantastic fun, and I really enjoyed my time in these minis, and I'd recommend it to anybody that is thinking of having a go.
And it's a competitive championship. I mean, taking a title, as you did, as Nathan Harrison did as well, it is hard earned, because it really attracts serious, talented drivers, doesn't it?
That's right. No championship is easy to win, unless you're in a championship of 1 in your class, of course. But this one make stuff is exceptionally hard, and you have to get everything right. And in my view, you win championships on your bad days. Learning how to deal with problems minimising your points losses when something has gone wrong is key to putting it all together. As I found out, the championships come down to just a couple of points sometimes, and when you're scoring multiple hundreds, it means you've just got to be on the top of your game.
Yeah, it's a good summary. Winning a championship on your bad day is a really good quote. And do you know what? That's actually a good one for you when you get youngsters who have a bad race and their heads drop. That's a good thing to be able to tell them. I'm sure coaches do tell them that. Gemma Lambert says, "Go on, Lambert, get up there." So this would be the home track, wouldn't it, for Mr. Lambert? I'm not sure if the Coopers are going to get a chance to race here for real this year. I need to go and check up on the schedules that we've got. There's Robbie Stapleford, as we said.
K20AA says Liam Lambert smoked the pink cigar. I have no idea what that is. Do you know, Richard?
I've no idea. I hope it's not inappropriate.
Oh, me too.
He's got some online support watching, which is really, really good. So Liam running in 17th at the moment, not far away from those maiden championship points for this year, as is Tom O'Farrell looking to score points, the Holiday Homes Isla driver, having a good run here. O'Farrell's best result so far, 18th. He's running in 16th place, so looking stronger as it goes on. We're on board for having a look. We're not on board, we're having a look at Ryan Elliott. Now, do you know, Jiggy, where the term Billy comes from in terms of track days and coaching?
I do. It's Cockney rhyming slam, Billy Bunter. I don't like the term because most people, as you pointed out, don't know what it means, and therefore they're using it as, I don't want to say derogatory, but it's not a nice term to be used. So I tend to tell people off when they use that one.
Yeah, this came about last week. It's funny, do you know, it's really weird because I've asked about this in the past. Does anyone know what it meant? Nobody knew, and then obviously Mike actually knew what it meant as well, which is great. But yeah, so rhyming sex. Nice to have that cleared up.
Yeah,
but yeah, I agree.
We're the pros, you see, Richard. We have to know these things.
It's I agree. It is a bit of a derogatory term. So we'll call Ryan Elliott Ride Dog, as Robbie Stapleford has a little nibble away at the inside line. Is that Richard Branson in the Dunlop balloon? I suppose he'd have the Virgin balloon. You know, actually met Branson once at the balloon festival at Brands Hatch. Absolutely enthralled by racing he was. Really, really enjoyed it. And
interesting in Edmonton, catching up ever so slightly. He's taken a 10th and a half out of Mike in the last 30 seconds. Well, he seems to have pulled it back out again now, but he does have a decent gap. It could fall apart very quickly though.
Yeah, Max had his first win, Max Edmonton, in the reverse grid race at Alton Park. He's always got the outright pace. He was on the podium at Brands Hatch from the reverse grid, and really sort of stepping up as the season goes on. Strong qualifier, 9th at Brands Hatch, the opening race of the year. 2nd at Donington Park and 4th. So 5th today. So he's always been in the top 6 in qualifying. As you say, he's got the pace, trying to hunt down Mike Epps. Dave Marshall here, not doing as well as we might have thought on the recovery, trying to close down on him. George Brennan still in 4th. Isaac Smith in a quiet 5th position, but nonetheless picking up points. And then Dan Zelos, this would be a home match, wouldn't it, for Dan Zelos as well?
Yeah, Dan's done he's done quite well, I think. Come on a lot from last year. Very quick, of course, in the JCW Championship in real life too. So I thought he'd run Nathan closer last year because his qualifying pace was excellent and didn't quite come to fruition. I don't know if is he racing again? Is he confirmed that he's doing this year yet?
He hasn't made the announcement yet, but we're hopeful that he's going to be doing it soon.
Yeah, he's definitely he'd be one of my tips for the win, actually, if he is doing it again.
Rebecca Dawson's getting cross wires with what we're saying about the Billy Elliott nickname. So Ryan Elliott's, one of his nicknames is Billy Elliott, as in the film and play and whatever. But Rebecca, what we were saying about was the origin of the term Billy as used by track day instructors, not for him, but for general people, and it's Billy Bunter Punter, so the people that might be paying the money. So that's where that comes down. So
he's Billy every day of the week, then, isn't he now?
He is, yeah. So hopefully cleared that up. Epps is still the leader. Max Edmonton in P2. Luke Hitsley in 13th, trying to get up with Robbie Stapleford and get back to where he qualified in 12th place. Ryan Elliott 14th, Jack Davidson down behind him. It's a very quick part. When you think about Jack Davidson down in 15th place, is fighting for a solitary point at the moment, it just goes to show how competitive it is. Liam Lambert 17th, Andy Dorman manages to make up the position, goes up into 16th ahead of him. those guys squabbling over the last championship point. There is an extra point as well for fastest lap. So Epps, incidentally, of course, will have an additional point for qualifying, and he'll extend the championship lead. Second in the real world class at the moment is Max Edmondson. So Epps and Edmondson, the two E's, battling it out also for the overall, the real world drivers championship. Of course, a rig setup is the prize for that, which they are working for. 1 minute 56 on the clock, so time to start looking at provisional pole for race 2. Robbie Stapleford, I think, is the guy who may well get that. That could be a big bonus to get Robbie back on track. His last couple of races, 19th and 8th place, had 4 runs in the top 10 off the start of the season, so he needs to get things back on track. He might well be able to do that with the reverse grid, Jiggy.
Yeah, he's been hovering around that area for some time and fighting with Billy and Luke Kidsley there, so he might be able to hold on. It's always tough in the middle. These positions for reverse grid pole, they can swap around because people know the significance of them, of course. So you do see the odd lunge, and even if someone lunges to make that position and makes a mistake, if you're the car in front, you've still lost it. If you're off the track, it's not going to happen. But right now, I can't see Mike Epps losing this. He's just pulling away. He's cool as a cucumber out there.
Yeah, he's away. Wants another interview, doesn't he? He's hopefully got his winner's speech ready in his back pocket. This is the battle for second place, and the machine marshal has closed in on Max Edmondson. Jordan Brennan not that far away as well, but Dave Marshall giving us a really good onboard ride there of getting so close and harrying in the 10/10ths car the second position machine. Donna Howe says that she'd love to see Mike Epps back in a real world race series. We would too.
Yeah,
talented guy, and so many drivers, of course, thwarted by budget. As looking around the outside line as they go into Brundle was Dave Marshall. I don't think that was ever going to be on, but that was very much harrying the second place man, Max Edmondson. Epps still out front. Watch for the second place battle there, which is heading through Bombhole down towards Coram, and Marshall fighting hard. The clock is down now, so there's going to be one more lap to go when they cross the line. I've got a feeling that Max Edmondson will be quite happy to see the checker at the end of this little run.
I expect so. We saw also, I don't know if you saw it there, but Dan Zelos and McIntyre were side by side going into Brundle, so they're fighting very hard. I must say, Dave Marshall, he ran away with it, really, in my view, last year. He clearly hasn't got any slower, but I think it just shows what the level has done over the off season. Everyone's got so much faster, and it's so competitive now.
He's got him down the inside line. A little tap from Max Edmondson. Jordan Brennan coming back as well. So it's a 10/10ths 1-2 at the moment. Mike Epps from Dave Marshall. The hard work for Marshall paid off. Slipping through on the inside line at the hairpin. Max Edmondson third. Jordan Brennan in close proximity now for third. Here he's actually that big lead that you described. And this is his now, very much. Got a note to go on Mike Epps from Harry Yardley-Rose. Good to see Harry out in GT Cup. Last year, I was commentating, I think it was Donington Park, wasn't it? We did the round there. Looking forward to commentating on GT Cup again. Just the one round for me this year. Mark Werrell's going to be able to be looking after it for you on the live streams. But I'll be with you at Alton Park. Mark is tied up elsewhere, but I'm really looking forward to Alton Park that weekend. As Dan Zelos still in the mix there, Jack McIntyre right behind him. That's the battle for 6th place. And McIntyre piling the pressure on here.
He is, yes. They've been like this now for must be 2 or 3 laps, I think. And Zelos not covering as much as I thought he might do. That's probably going to bite him in the backside right here.
Yeah, maybe not. Here they come then. So Dan Zelos is on the outside line, holds on to it for the inside as they go through Nelson and Jack Mack. Up ahead of, just so you can see on the inset, having a good look. It's going to be a little bit nearer the front because provisional pole at the moment still with Robbie Stapleford. Zelos still under pressure. These guys on the last few corners. It's Mike Epps out front who has taken the checkered flag. Mike Epps' second win, responding to my point that he'd only had one win thus far. Dave Marshall will take second position from Max Edmondson, and then Jordan Brennan in 4th place. Jack McIntyre busy chasing Dan Zelos. Zelos finishing 6th, immediately behind Isaac Smith. McIntyre 7th, Then Rob Butler 8th, quite but impressive stuff from Rob Butler to move up from 11th on the grid. Max Coates was in 9th place from Josh Martin, and then Matt Richards, Robbie Stapleford completing the top 12. So it's going to be Stapleford and Richards on the front row of the grid for race 2. Epps will start in 12th place, so the 6th row of the grid will be Epps and Marshall, so the two teammates together again. Then it's going to be Edmondson on row 5 with Jordan Brennan. Here's how they finish. Let's just run through the result for you. Mike Epps the winner from Dave Marshall and Max Edmondson. Jordan Brennan next up. Then Isaac Smith and Dan Zelos. Jack McIntyre in 7th position from Rob Butler, Max Coates, Josh Martin and Matt Richards. Robbie Stapleton 12th. Then Luke Kinsey just missing out on that reverse pole. Jack Davidson next up from Ryan Elliott and Andy Dorman. Liam Lambert 17th from Damien Hall, Jack Noller, Josh Hislop, Simon Reed and Tom O'Farrell and Kenny Press. Just thoughts on, very quickly before we go to our interview with our drivers. Any thoughts on that opening race, Jiggy?
I think that was very controlled by Mike. I said early on that he was just taking his time, and sometimes we guess that they're doing this, but actually I do think he was, and I think that was controlled. Dave did well to recover. It's a real shame we had that incident for second place, but I thought on the whole it was quite a tidy race, not too many incidents further down the field. Great side-by-side stuff as well, so typical mini race, minus the argy-bargy.
I would very much agree with that. It was a fairly, let's say tame race, but a fairly calm race. Let's go down and talk to the drivers on the podium, starting with 3rd place, Max Edmondson. Max, it was looking like 2nd position for a long time, but Dave Marshall, the machine, just snuck up on the inside of you at the hairpin on that in the late stages.
Yeah, I had the pace to, well, be around Mike, but then obviously tyres started to go off towards the end and Dave just got past.
And thoughts on the rest of the race for you? Obviously you managed to sneak through when there was a little bit of contact from Jordan Brennan on Dave Marshall, and you took that opportunity well, read the situation well, nipped through, and that's what you have to do, isn't it, in those situations?
Yeah, just keep as close as you can. As soon as a mistake, just sneak through.
Looking forward to race 2, obviously off of the 5th row of the grid.
Just need to try to get back to the front, get some good points scored.
Nice one, mate. Well done on 3rd position. Good to welcome you back to the podium, and good luck for race 2. Let's go to the driver who finished 2nd, a regular on the podium. 3 wins to his credit so far this season. P2 in that one, Dave Marshall. What were your thoughts when you had that knock from the bear?
Honestly, it happens. Like, it wasn't intentional, just missed his break point, ran in the back, and fair play, gave the place straight back. So, you know, a little bit frustrating when it happens, but honestly, no beef with that at all.
Did you have it in you to you were, hassling Mike Epps at that point, and would you have beaten him?
You know what, Mike and Max are driving incredibly well. Jordan as well. You know, they're all lapping on, the pace that I can do. I definitely don't have an advantage here. So yeah, machine's just not quite firing on all cylinders, I think.
Jiggy made the point that this is one of your real strong tracks here, isn't it? You had a hat trick last year here, and Jiggy made the point that you're obviously still quick, but the other drivers have really come on as well this year.
So I knew going into this season, the other drivers have definitely closed the gap. A bit of a shame. I did a 0 in practice, and I just didn't put any quality laps together that I think I should have done. It's never deserved pole, but I'm a bit disappointed how I've performed today so far.
Disappointed with 2nd position. That's the mark of Dave Marshall. Dave, congratulations getting on the podium, still keeping the overall championship alive, and of course still keeping the lead in the sim races category. A quick word with our winner, Mike Epps. Congratulations, a double for you, then pole position and the win. How was it?
Yeah, this is a bit more like it, Rich. Yeah, I think it looks like Jordan Brennan wanted to be in the sandwich a bit more than necessary there. I'm guessing he missed his brake point a little, because I thought David completely messed up, and I thought he was going to hit me when I was looking in my mirror, so it was a bit of a tense moment. But luckily it all scanned out quite nicely, and took the win. So now to, not literally, but try and do some damage on the points table in the reverse grid.
Jiggy here, Mike. Well done. That was a really good race. From the outside, it looked like you had that all under control and you were just taking your time. What was it like in the car?
Hello, Ace Ventura. Yeah, it was pretty good. It wasn't. You know what it's like. It's never as in control in the car as it looks on the outside. There's always every single lap's got to be within a tenth. But that was my best race pace. I think I've pretty much done there. So if I can keep it going this time, we'll see how we go. So I think we got 45 seconds countdown. So got to go, mate.
Best of luck. Many thanks to Mike. And thanks, Jiggy, for the question as well. So let's have a quick look at the way they line up for our partially reversed grid. It is Robbie Stapleford on pole position. This is going to be a little bit of a mouth-watering prospect with Matt Richards alongside two very quick drivers. It is getting a bit of a cliche to say that wherever you look there are quick drivers, but that is the fact here. So Stapleford and Richards, who are, we know, capable of wins up there, as is Josh Martin, as is Max Coates, who line up on row 2. Rob Butler and Jack McIntyre are on row 3. Fourth row, Dan Zelos and Isaac Smith. Jordan Brennan lines up on row 5 with Max Edmondson. And the last two folk we just heard from, Dave Marshall on row 6 with Mike Epps. We are underway, the clock is ticking down. And who is it going to be in this one as they head down into turn number 1 for the first time? Good clean start, let's hope for not too much bunching. Decent start then by Richards, who gets away out front from Robert Stapleford.
Yeah, Richards just got a really good launch. He seemed to react at least 0.2 of a second faster than Stapleford.
Yeah, good launch from him. Robbie, we know, is a keen racer. He won't give up. He will keep fighting away. And as soon as he's under the rear spoiler, of course, of that car, he's going to be a danger. Max Coates has run well. So Coates from 4th on the grid is 3rd. Decent start for him. Josh Martin is in 4th. And then Jack McIntyre, Rob Butler in 6th. The pace is changing around as they weave through this newest part of the Snetterton circuit. It's been down for quite a few years now, to be perfectly honest, but still much better than the old 200 circuit as it's now known, although the 200 circuit has got the kink out of turn 2, if they use it now, rather than just a straight 90-degree corner. But Matt Richards away, and we have seen reverse grid winners here in the official mini challenge eSeries racing. So Matt Richards very well capable of taking the win. Stapleford still in P2 as they make their way down the long straight for the first time.
Yeah, I think Max Coates is actually a reverse grid specialist. Was it 1 or 2 races he won in the mini challenge last year on the reverse grid? I can't remember.
I can't remember off the top of my head as well, but yeah, Max is one of those drivers that you don't rule out of anything being fastest off the front. Was it his first season minis last year? Wasn't it? As they came onto the touring car program, and you know he's a danger to the other drivers in terms of results. You know, from where he finishes in qualifying, and also the reverse grid races. And this coming season, if he comes back to Mini, that second year, I'm guessing, is going to be a bonus for him. Second year's experience. It
always makes it easier because you're returning to everywhere, aren't you? Instead of having to learn everywhere you go, and it means you have to work harder in your first year to really be fast. And there are just some experiences that you need before you can really win the whole lot. You know, when I did it, I did a couple of guest races in 2018, and that prepared me well. It meant that when I sat on the grid for the first race at Alton Park, I was ready. I felt good. I think, to be fair, at the beginning of the season, I thought top 3 in the championship would be quite nice because I'd not raced front-wheel drive. But then I won the first race and thought, well, that's pressure. I need to win the whole thing now. Thankfully, I did.
Neat move by Robbie Stapleford back at the hairpin to go into the lead, and Max Coates as they go down into Agostini on the inside line of Matt Richards, who we're looking at inset at the moment. So good stuff from Stapleford. Here comes Coates, still working that inside line hard. Little tap on the back end of the 44 car. They both lose out as a result of that. We've still got a car sideways. I think has been recovered. This is good news for Robbie Stapleford, who'll try and get away. Max on the inset looking cool. There was just a little bit of contact there, but this is how close mini racing can get, Jiggy.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, reverse grids, this is what it gives you. People of slightly different speeds in amongst it. It was unfortunate, I think, that moment there, but thankfully everyone continued without being in a big messy pile, so that's quite nice. But what it is going to allow is the guys behind to get up to them. Oh, there goes Zelos.
Yep, Dan Zelios, another spinner as well. Max Coates, it's not going to be his day, more is the pity. So Max will get back on. It's going to be a little dent in his championship aspirations. He might well be looking at podium positions for prizes rather than the overall championship. But having said that, we're still only at the halfway stage, and with these races this year, there is still so much that could play out over the remaining 4 rounds. Stapleford, your leader, Jack McIntyre second. Isaac Smith is in 3rd place. It's going to be great if we welcome Isaac Smith back onto the podium. Haven't had a chat with him for a while. The Riggs Esports Racing Team entry. Best result so far this year. You've got to go back to race 1. Brands Hatch had a 7th position there. Just hasn't had the rub of the green, Isaac Smith, but up in 3rd at the moment. Dave Marshall's coming through. He's in 6th place. Mike Epps is 7th from 12th on the grid. Max Edmondson next up. Epps has dropped back a little bit and has had a moment now in 10th. Matt Richards 11th, but it's Stapleford, McIntyre and Smith out front, again proving the value of these reverse grid races. I'm wondering though, as we look at Jack Mack in P2, the silent assassin, the Silverstone Composites logo which we saw sported by Dave Marshall last year, I'm wondering whether we're going to see Dave Marshall have the opportunity to come through from a podium. There's a bit of a gap developing, isn't there, Jiggy, at the moment, but Marshall could here show his expertise around the Snetterton configuration.
Yeah, I think a podium's on. I'm not sure if he can get to the win. McIntyre, I think, might start making progress, but then Staples fast. In the background, we saw Epps sideways. Judging by the angle, I'd say he got a tap, and it was actually Edmondson that was right behind him at the time. So there might have been a little bit of contact there. Well, I'm sure we'll find out in the post-race scrutiny.
Lap time's a little bit down on what we've seen so far. Stapleford with a 2 minutes 1.626, 6.62 for McIntyre, 2 minutes 2.1 for Isaac Smith. Smith looking pretty good. Maybe saved his setup, his tyre setup, to count for this last race of the day, second race of the day. As we look at Jack Noller, very cool, calm and collected, in 18th place at the minute, trying to get back up into the points. Is Mr. Noller, who's had a few good point scoring races so far this year, and he's got Mr. Reed, Tugger Reed, right behind him as well, trying to get up into the points as well. Damien Hall is a couple of places ahead of them in 16th, knocking on the door of that first championship point for this weekend. Ryan Elliott sitting in 15th place, which is the solitary point, but it's Stapleford, McIntyre and Smith still there. As we look at Damien Hall, I think we decided that the Bajan time 4 hours behind us, so it's 5 to 7 in the morning there, so he's getting up real early in the morning. Is Damien Hall to have a go?
That's brutal. I'm not sure I'd like to do that.
Dave Marshall makes another great move, goes up ahead of Josh Martin, so good stuff from him. Still the stuff coming through on social media. Michelle Dunn saying, come on Jordan, get your foot down. Where is Mr. Brennan at the moment? 4th place is the answer there. And Zach Blackwell quoting Dan Butcher-Lord, not sure what for. Dan's not racing with us, but a local guy prepared some very good minis in the championship, sewed up his championship here back in 2019 as well, did Dan Butcher-Lord. And Mike Brennan, Mikey's joined the social media feed as well, saying go Juggy Bear, so good to see Mike Brennan watching it as well. As the race leader's still there, Stapleford, McIntyre and Smith. Jordan Brennan in P4, the man we're focusing on at the moment, has got some work to do to try and close in on that top 3, but we'll be looking at his virtual mirrors because the machine is behind him as well. So Dave Marshall, if it was any other driver, you'd say that Dave Marshall is any other driver, they might think about giving him a tap back for the one that they received, inadvertent though it was, in race number 1. But Dave Marshall, when he spoke on the interview, just the proper guy, isn't he? Just said, you know, he realised that it was just a misjudgment.
Yeah, and that was good of him. And I don't think he'd want to give him a tap back. However, if Jordan was to do it again, he might fire him off into the wall somewhere.
But there are drivers that would dish it out, wouldn't they? Straight away.
They would. But those are great examples of drivers that aren't going to win any championships because they're not thinking enough. And actually, yeah, it's a great move there. If they think about this, they can catch up to these top 3. Equally, the top 3 can, if they start fighting, they might let Dave Marshall win this. I didn't think at the beginning it would be possible, but if Brennan just sits on him, toes around a little bit, he does actually have an opportunity. We've got a long way to go, 11.5 minutes left plus a lap.
this could play out quite nicely, couldn't it? We're looking at Max Edmondson getting stuck in as well, drops down to 10th. Matt Richards up ahead of him now. Rob Butler is in 8th place. Butler, a driver. It's a shame we haven't had a chat with Rob Butler. He's a great guy, had several podia last year. And let's hope that we get to have a chat out for him. Chris Hall says watch out for the late run from Max Coates. Late push, he says. I don't think it'd be a literal push, but a push to try and get onto it. I've had a question asking what the rough cost of a full rig is. I don't know the answer to that, but we'll try and get that from Mike as an idea. I'm guessing it's depends what you want, but state of the art, I've been told around about 10,000 for a state of the art kit, which these guys deliver. So hopefully that's answered the question on social media for you. You can start at 5 grand, 10 grand, very much top spec, but give you an idea. Talk to the guys anyway at VRRC Custom Build Rigs if you are interested in having a go. Max Edmondson still in 9th position. Stapleford, McIntyre, Smith, Dave Marshall in 4th. Marshall's 2.6 seconds down.
You'll see that Mike Epps has managed to release himself. He was having a bit of a scrap. Now, he was looking to take some decent points out of everybody in this race. He knew that was his goal. But of course, Marshall has he's got away. I think Mike can minimise the loss, but it's going to be tough to stay with him given the gaps ahead of him.
Yeah, very much so. What's the line we go again? Looking back from Rob Butler, it's amazing seeing the superb simulation that's done of these tracks. You know, so much that you recognise, and it's just absolute detail, even in the distance that you can see here. Butler 8th, chasing Mike Epps. Mike having gone past, closing in now is Max Edmondson. Matt Richards in 10th position is behind. Then Luke Kidsley and Dan Zelos. Dan started on row 4, so with a little bit of work to do. Josh Hislop and Max Coates dicing it out. Hislop in the lime green machine, and Coates is starting to put this run to try and close back down the order, and the aim is going to be to get into the points. It's going to be looking at Ryan Elliott. 15th place is his target to get back in the points and just start to try and claw his way back. He's going to get one place closer to that. Now again, you can see the scuffs on the side of the Primex car. Max works hard. Good clean manoeuvre there on the inside line though. Nice clean pass. Yeah, it's good. I think he'll probably have designs on something a little bit higher up than 15th. And we saw a few of them like Max and Zelos. They got involved, didn't they, at the beginning? So Zelos is going to be trying to claw his way back up. A good race from Luke Kidsley. He's up in 11th. That's a big improvement from earlier on. Yeah, he's done well, hasn't he? He's got into what would be, if we had another race, the reverse grid position. So started 15th. Sorry, 13th or 15th, Luke Kidsley. Just outside the zone, as it were. Close for the lead now. Robbie Stapleford, we were looking back from his rear-facing view, and Jack McIntyre, the driver, immediately behind him. McIntyre has not been led, so he's very much putting the pressure on. And Isaac Smith, just 2 or 3 lengths adrift at the moment. If the leaders start to get involved, as ever, could slow each other up, and it might bring Isaac Smith into the mix. Now, Isaac was posting quick lap times anyway of his own right. Here they come, ready to cross the line again. Slightly uphill along centre straight, then downhill into turn 1. Stapleford at the moment still looking actually after a little bit of a threat. Relatively safe at the moment in the lead. Jack McIntyre still handily placed there. Is this going to develop into another battle for the lead or 3rd place, do you reckon, here, Jiggy? Well, it could be. If these guys are clever, they could almost guarantee themselves 1st, 2nd and 3rd, because Dave Marshall's looming in the background. But so many times I've been in Dave's position, you see these cars ahead and you're so confident they're going to fight and you're going to have an opportunity to go for the win at some point. So you never really know, and it comes down to experience a lot. We'll see. We will see. Could be exciting. Marshall's the quickest of them, 2 minutes 10.3. So he's just got that little bit of extra performance over those, and he'll know that. He'll know that he's the quicker of them, and he'll want to try and close down. He'll be looking at the differential in points between himself and Mike Epps, which will have opened up again a little bit more as we look at Josh Martin having a good go in 7th place and working hard there. Great shot of Josh, and a great youngster. We did one of the interviews with him last year, and again, apologies for not delivering those this year, but we used to pop them into the lunch break, and there's not really anywhere we could do it. I might try and do a few more a little bit later on. Whilst we're talking about guest commentators, I mentioned we've got Ronan Pearson joining us next week, which is good, and a driver who would have this as her home circuit in the real world joining us later on in the year is Lydia Walmsley, confirmed this weekend, another mini driver. So that's really looking forward to Lydia joining us as well. There's some good battling going on here still.
There's always a good battle in the mini challenge. Real world, eSeries, it doesn't matter. The cars, they lend themselves to good scraps, and we saw plenty of guys like now side by side. You got enough grip to do that. It needs a little bit of what should we say, cooperation between the drivers, of course, because when you're racing door handle to door handle, it can go wrong very, very quickly. But clearly the level's very good here, and lots of guys respecting each other's track space.
Yeah, the battle you're looking at, Josh Hislop and Jack Noller, and Jack trying to get ahead of them. Max Coates working hard as well, and let's see whether Noller can go through. He's on the outside line, so Hislop should be safe for the moment, but Noller trying to get around as our little drone shot works nicely there. Down into the hairpin we go again. Hislop on the inside line holds on to position, but Jack Noller in the 36 machine really working hard. This is for 18th place. The guys will be wanting to get onto that group ahead of them who are on the points. Max Coates is now past Damien Hall. He's into 16th. He's only one place away from getting into the points battle. The leaders, though, are getting closer. Isaac Smith, the third of the cars we're looking at, closing in on Jack McIntyre, who I think is getting closer to Robbie Stapleford, and they're going to have eyes on the virtual mirrors to see Dave Marshall trying to reel them in as well. Could have a three-way battle for the lead here, Jiggy, as we get into the closing stages.
It does look like it, and I don't think Marshall's closing fast enough to get involved with this battle unless they get scrappy on the last lap. And again, these guys at the front, they need to be clever. They need to not make lunges now. They need to leave it to the last moment so that they actually stay on that podium. It's so easy to throw it all away, but Dave's pushing, you can see, very, very hard. He's managed to get it just below 2 seconds, but they've only got, what, 3 laps left, so it's going to be close. I'm interested to see how much these guys scrap and what sort of racecraft they have available in their banks.
Back down and having a look at Max Edmondson in 9th place, Matt Richards 10th, Dan Zelos is in 11th. And the 4 car, the white car, is Max Edmondson, just coming through Murray's corner at the moment, where we saw some serious action in the last touring car race of the day in the round that we had. Was that September, October time last year? Such a condensed season, it's difficult to try and remember the dates, but it was a thrilling finale to the season. Stapleford very much under pressure now from Jack McIntyre, who looks at the outside line here as they go down into the hairpin. He'll just back out of that. He's trying to get the run now. The inside line into Palmer's has been covered by Robbie Stapleford out front. This is surely going to bring Isaac Smith into the mix. Isaac's still there in 3rd place. But Stapleford under pressure as they head down, very slightly down the gradient in towards Agostini.
Absolutely. In my view, that's too early. That's too early, unless you know you've got the pace.
He's outbraked him. He's got him down into Agostini, down the inside line, hard on the brakes. And very little in the way of contact, maybe just a little bit of a scrape. Great stuff, James.
They're still fighting. It's just going to bring everyone else into play, which is going to be great to watch. But from a driver standpoint, I just would have waited a bit longer. We've got now, look at Marshall. He's closing in. Isaac Smith now is making the move. It's going to get scrappy. No one's going to give in now. This is it.
Yeah, Jack McIntyre, very neatly done move. He was giving notice of intent at the hairpin and then just dived down the inside line, hard on the brakes into Agostini. Classic Snetterton pass by him.
Yeah, lovely
manoeuvre. Robbie Stapleford P2, and it has brought Isaac Smith into it. Isaac, of course, made his way through the VRRC Fiesta Championship, another good championship to start off with. As Jiggy said earlier on, no racing is cheap, but it's a cost-effective way of getting into racing. We've seen such a crossover of drivers coming through VRSCC's Fiesta Championship, moving up into Mini Challenge, and Isaac Smith was champion in that. Such a great lad to talk to, quite Yorkshireman, and loves his racing, lets his driving speak for himself, and he's doing a super job here in 3rd place at the moment. Robbie Stapleford, though, soaked up a lot of pressure in this race from Jack McIntyre, and now he's in that. What is it like to be in that position, Jiggy, when you're in the middle, attacking and defending? Which is the priority?
Oh, it's so tough. There is no priority. If you don't overtake, then the guy behind is going to come at you. But you've got to keep your eyes on the mirrors, because they could make that lunge. You never know, especially when people are in a podium position and they can see the win. They make manoeuvres that they might not ordinarily do when they're slightly calmer. So you just have to have eyes all around you, which is why I always use a convex mirror, concave, so that it's convex, isn't it?
Convex.
So you can just see so much more. You can see right down the left-hand side of your car, for example, if you run it properly. Whereas these mirrors in the minis are actually quite small, and the roll cage gets in the way of your left-hand mirror. And if you turn in and you don't see someone, that's it. That's the end of your race. Or at the very least, you're going to lose positions, maybe have some damage. So you've just got to have eyes at the back of your head.
And this race has come out exactly as you predicted earlier on. So this is why we have people like Jiggy joining us on commentary. He's called it so well. The top three have closed up. Dave Marshall is getting closer. Jordan Brennan is getting closer as well. Mike Epps very nearly with that group as well, as we have 26 seconds left on the clock. Is Jack McIntyre going to make it around before the clock goes down? Are we going to get that extra lap? This is the key thing at the moment as we ride on board with Juggy Bear. Jordan Brennan, 5th position at the moment. You can see the lead quartet ahead. The car immediately ahead is Dave Marshall, who's in 4th place, trying to close in on the leaders. Jack Mack is building a little bit of a lead at the moment, getting away from Robin Stapleford. And the clock is down, so the answer is that they're about to go on to the final tour. So just over 3 miles of virtual Snetterton 300 circuit to go.
Yeah, McIntyre's impressed me, actually. He must have just known he had that little bit extra, and he's built the gap. Having said that, he's just lost, what's that, 10th and a half, 2 tenths coming to that final corner. He may just have timed it perfectly and known his abilities, if you like, known what he had left in the tank, because of course everyone's tyres are slightly different and everyone can play with their setup a little bit in this. It's what makes it good fun. And there he goes, he's got back to almost half a second.
Yeah, he's built this well. He's looking for a second win of the season. Most of his results have been top 10. He's had a couple of glitches which have kind of dropped him away championship wise. He's 3rd overall in the standings, 2nd in the sim category, and it's only Dave Marshall ahead of him in the sim races. And Jack Mack, a driver I'd love to see come and join us in the real world as we ride on the last lap on board with Jordan Brennan ahead of Mike Epps, who is in 6th place. Dave Marshall immediately in front. Jordan won't want to throw any points away at this stage, but he's getting very close to the machine. Marshall, who just can't close in enough on the lead trio. We're looking set to see the trio again. Not really any battling going on there. They've all found their own space, and I think found a little bit of calm, and such as it can be in this last lap, and it looks like McIntyre is going to hold on to it. We are now starting to see Isaac Smith just closing in a little bit on Robbie Stapleford for P2.
Yeah, I think it's settled now, though, actually, Richard, that they're too far behind, unless they make some sort of crazy lunge, which I don't think anyone in this top bunch are likely to do. They've been quite controlled, but I don't think anyone's going to be able to make a move now, as exciting as it would be.
Through into the Brundle-Nelson complex again. It would be exciting, and I agree with you. I don't think anything's going to happen, although Smith looking close as they head down towards Bob Hole again. There is the race leader, Jack McIntyre, looking for a second win of the season. Isaac Smith very close indeed at the moment to Robbie Stapleford, and he's going to go wide around Coram and maybe look to see if there's going to be a gap at the inside of Murray's. There won't be. This is effectively the last corner, and McIntyre negotiates it successfully. There was no reason to think that he might do otherwise, and he climbs very slightly uphill and will head towards the virtual checkered flag to win. It's a good winning margin. Jack McIntyre takes the win. Robbie Stapleford 2nd. Isaac Smith is in 3rd place. Dave Marshall, the machine, picking up some good points in 4th, ahead of Jordan Brennan and Mike Epps. Josh Martin 7th from Max Edmondson. Rob Butler in 9th. Then Matt Richards completing the top 10. The rest of the championship points going to Dan Zelos in 11th. Jack Davidson 12th. Ryan Elliott 13th from Max Coates, who did make the most of his quest to get into the points, 14th. And Andy Dorman grabbing the last championship point in 15th, just ahead of Luke Kidsley. Jiggy, thoughts on that race, and perhaps the driver of the race and maybe driver of the day as well?
Well, it was a cracking race by McIntyre there. Actually, he did time it perfectly in the end. I might even stick him as driver of the day, because he dealt with the pressure, made the manoeuvre when he needed to, and he didn't do it too early. See, it's too easy to lunge when you think you might have it, but he just had it. You could see he was ever so slightly pulling away, from the moment he got past. Dave Marshall, really good job of getting back through, and Epps there having to recover as well, because it could have gone all very, very wrong for him. But really good, tidy racing from all the guys at the front. Good to see.
It was very good to see, and it just whets the appetite, doesn't it, for the real world racing when we eventually get back to it. I can't wait. I'm even just looking forward to getting to a test day, to be honest with you, at the moment. It'd be nice to get out. Let's just recount the result for you here before we chat to our podium finishers. Jack Mack, the winner, from Robbie Stapleford and Isaac Smith. Dave Marshall was next up, I think, with fastest lap point as well in 4th place. Jordan Brennan 5th from Mike Epps, Josh Martin, Max Edmondson 8th, Rob Butler, Matt Richards in 10th from Dan Zelos and Jack Davidson. Max Coates 13th from Andy Dorman and Damien Hall. Jack Noller 16th from Liam Lambert, Simon Reed. Tom O'Farrell in 19th. Craig Timmins was 20th. So that was our official result. Let's go and head down towards our virtual Parc Ferme. And a real pleasure to talk to the driver in 3rd place. I think the first chat that we've had this year. Great to have you on the podium. Well done, Isaac Smith. Talk us through that race, and it was tantalising. You were getting very, very close to Robbie in the closing stages, but P3 for you.
Yeah, obviously, I've not had the best of luck at the start of this season, so I thought I might as well bring it back a bit and get a podium. So pulled through to the end, and I was hoping Robbie at the end would back it up a little bit, but didn't quite go my way, so ended up P3. It was a good race altogether, really.
It's great to see. Your previous best this year was race 1, wasn't it? At Brands, you were 7th in race 1, so it was a solid start. And as you say, things haven't really gone your way since then, but this is showing everybody the pace, and I think you might have held fastest lap in the early stages of that race as well. So good to have you back on the podium. Is there much work going into this in the week in terms of practice?
Yeah, well, obviously I'm doing the touring car series with VRRC as well, which it takes up a lot of time, and I'm also working full time, so it's not the easiest of things to do.
So much on your plate.
On the race side, we'd set the car up really for the beginning of the race, so to be still pulling in on them at the end was quite a surprise to me, to be honest. It was just picking up on a few mistakes and pulling in as much as possible.
Well, it's good to see you back on the podium, and thanks for taking the time to talk to us. So good luck this afternoon as well with the Touring Car Championship. Hopefully you get a chance to talk to David Addison in the winner's circle for that one. Isaac Smith, 3rd position. Let's grab a word with the man who finished 2nd. And do you know what? I looked at the results and just thinking, hang on a minute, I'm sure we've spoken to this guy. He's had more than one podium. It's the 2nd podium of the year for Robbie Stapleford. And another P2, Robbie. The win is not far away.
Nah, just nearly got it. Just didn't hang on long enough. But yeah, didn't have a really good first race, didn't really go our way, and then I got a good reverse grid, which put us on pole for race 2, and then just tried to hold the pressure of Jack, and then he just slowly caught towards the end, and then I just left the gap open and Jack went for it, and there was nothing else I could do. But yeah, P2 is good.
It was a classic bit of racing. It really mirrored the kind of thing that you would see for real at Snetterton, and Agostini, where he got past you, he'd been harrying you up at the previous corner, the 2 corners back actually, wasn't it? The hairpin where we first had a go. And really, when you're in that position, you've got somebody like that behind you, you have to defend, don't you, really, to a certain extent? Otherwise, the gap's going to be there.
Yeah, Jack won't risk a stupid move, but if he sees the gap open, he'll go for it, and he'll probably get it stuck because he's pretty good, and you just got to defend and just hope you don't find the gap to go for.
How are you doing with your real world aspirations for this year? You're down as a real world class driver in this championship. How are things coming along?
Things are coming along great. I don't know what I'm doing yet because obviously COVID and that, but hopefully soon I'll know what I'm doing for this season.
Well, make sure you ping us a message and let us know when you have got something sorted out. But in the meantime, it's really good to see you in the eSeries here. Well done on P2, and we're looking forward to you getting your first win, mate.
Yeah, thank you, Rich.
Robbie Stapleford there in 2nd position, and our race winner driving the Zancho 10 37 car, 2nd win of the season, a 4th podium of the year. Jack Mack, he's back, the silent assassin. Well done, mate. Cracking move as well. Talk us through that move down to Agostini.
It was It was a bit of an opportunistic one, I think. I hadn't really planned to do that, but I was right up behind Robbie, and then just saw the gap open and just like split second, just went for it. So glad it paid off. Glad Robbie left me a little bit of room there. He could have squeezed a little bit harder, and we maybe would have come together. But no, that was a brilliant race. Snetterton was a bit of a bogey round for me last year, so it's good to get a good result here this year.
That's a nice comment from you, respecting what Robbie did, and I echo that. I should have maybe said that to Robbie as well. A move like that, it was a great move by you, but equally, as you said, had he not given you the room, and we'd have seen in real world many times that might have ended in tears. But hats off to you, though, because you had a go for it, and you built up to it as well. I remember the late, great Brian Jones, commentator at Brands Hatch, you're probably far too young to remember in earnest, but I remember him describing a lap at Brands Hatch, one of the Grand Prix years ago when Brands used to have the GP, where Alain Prost, the professor as they called him in Formula One circles, actually was, working out an overtake 5, maybe 6 corners before he actually did it. And we were looking at that from you there because you were harrying Robbie, from turn 1 down to turn 2 at the hairpin, and he had to defend, and ultimately there was going to be a gap, and it very much looked like you were thinking that through.
Yeah, I mean, I knew as soon as I got right up to Robbie that I had to do something soon. I could see Dave coming up in the background in 4th, and then Isaac behind. So I knew it was, as soon as I was up behind him and he started defending, that I had to get through straight away. So it was, a few laps of trying to figure out where I was quicker. I think the way that I've got the car set up is a lot different to everyone else. So it's faster in some areas and slower in other areas, and then I guess that gives you a bit of an advantage sometimes. So just went for it. Glad it paid off.
Well, it's only yourself, Mike Epps, and of course Dave Marshall, who have got more than one win in the championship this year, so well done on joining that group. And we're going to have to go away and work the points out and see where everybody is, but you finished ahead obviously of Dave, so it's going to close things up for the Sim Championship again. Well done, our winner of race 2, Jack McIntyre. Great to talk to you.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
So there we have our top 3. 2 good races here at Snetterton. I'm going to ask Jiggy. I think we've already had the comment on driver of the meeting. We're thinking of Jack Mack, Jiggy.
Yes. Brought him in contention. If it's not Jack, then Dave Marshall's just scored some solid points here today. Also, a lot of really good drives actually, clean and tidy. Great racing.
And have we got Rich Hayden for comments on driver of the day as well? I'm not sure if Rich is with us yet.
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks very much. Yeah, it was a great couple of races. I'm going to agree with Jiggy. I think Jack Max had an excellent second race, really calculated on the overtaking at the end there. Knew he had something in hand, as Jiggy said, and managed to pull away. Got in the pack in race 1 and didn't have a great result there, but race 2 he really brought it back.
Couple of more comments coming through on social media. Mark Helen says, Tugger Reed, 100% driver of the day. He's got some support, hasn't he? And, he's out there doing the business. Chris Hall says that Max Coates deserves a shout out for a great recovery drive. Max did get back into the point, so, so many that we could look at. I've got to say that move Jack McIntyre did was a super move. There were plenty of other great overtakes over the course of the day as well. Good to see Andy Dorman getting in the points on race 2. Going back to the overall stuff though, looked pretty clean and tidy today, Rich. But we did make the point earlier on in qualifying about the fact that these are very, very well policed, aren't they? And you and Andy Ringland have a lot of work to do with the judicials, which are taken very seriously and are dealt with in the same way too.
Absolutely, yes. There's a lot of time that goes into looking through any driver protests, and obviously we keep our own eyes out as well if there's anything that we need to raise. But Andy puts a huge amount of work in going through every single protest that comes through, reviewing all of the footage. So it's important that we have clean, fair racing as well as exciting. So there's always a balance between the two, but we try and make it as fair as possible for everybody.
Oh, mega.
Yeah. But when you're offering great prizes.
Absolutely right. Some more social media feeds coming through. We're going to wrap things up very shortly because we've run a little bit over time, so apologies for keeping you all here. Thank you. The Paul Tunstall says, nice one, Jiggy Jack. I think he's Jack Davidson. And Diane Malone says, well done, Dave Marshall Racing. Definitely driver of the day for Dave Marshall, says Diane. Thank you ever so much for those of you who have taken part on social media today. And thanks for Mike for getting us set up so I can sort of have a look at that while we're commentating as well. Join us next week. We are on the virtual Knockhill circuit, and that is round 5. Ronan Pearson joining us in the commentary box for that one. A big thank you to James Jiggy Gornall for joining us today. Absolute pleasure, mate. Really good to work with you, and hope we can do it for real on a broadcast sometime soon.
Absolutely. It's been fantastic fun. Thank you very much for having me here.
Absolute pleasure. Top job, and good luck with putting things together for this season. A big thanks as ever to Andy Ringland and Rich Hayden, we heard from Mike Yao in the background, for doing the business for us again, following the drivers that we wanted to have a look at, changing the shots, doing a super job on the direction. A big thanks to all the drivers and all the supporters that have come through today for us. So join us again, same time, same place, probably living room, maybe a PC, stick your headphones on, grab a coffee and join us for a trip north of the border. From me, Richard John Neal, and Jiggy James Gornall, and the whole of the team here, a big thanks for watching. Stay safe, don't forget the touring cars later on in the day, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Between the two of them, the inside of Coates.
Barker gets too heavily involved.
And that's Whitehead and Coates.